A cap on and he said, we're going to take a coffee break. And he walked off the set. And Sean looked at me and he said to me in his lovely Scots accent, he said, Marguerite, where is your self-confidence? And I said, I don't have any. And I started to cry. And I said, I want to go home, I'm not an actress. He said, let me tell you about self-confidence. If you physically look the part, you are efficient, you project that personality, self-confidence will happen.
On January the 26th, Connery films Bond's arrival at King's House. Terence Young encourages Connery to toss off the scripted line with casual indifference.
Sergeant, make sure he doesn't get away.
Connery and Young like the dry, dark humor of the line and begin working more of it into the script.
How did it happen? I think they were on their way to a funeral.
That kind of one-line humor that we really initiated in there is all over.
Actor Timothy Moxon finds his part calls less for acting lessons and more for a first aid kit.
After I got shot in the thing, the three blind men, including the one with the red hat on who was my dentist, threw me into the hearse, and I'm 5'9½", and they only threw 5'9" into the hearse and slammed the door, which is, made rather a live corpse.
Another local actress, Dolores Quito, gets her chance to be in the film when she offers the production her house as a location. In late January, Ursula Andress flies to Jamaica despite anxieties about taking the role.
I met Terence Young, and then he said, why don't you come 7 o'clock to the dining room? And I walked in, and no one was in the dining room except Sean. And I walked in, so he got up and said, hello, I'm Sean Connery. And I said, I'm Ursula, and that's the way I met him in the dining room.
They filmed the last scene first. That was the first thing they filmed, which was him in the boat right at the end.
There is immediate on-screen chemistry between the pair, and off-screen a strong friendship develops.
Sean is a marvelous person. The day I met him, till today, which I still see him, we're still good friends. He stayed exactly the same person I met in 1962. Down to earth, simple and real. He's a fabulous person and a marvelous actor.
On Tuesday, February the 6th, the crew moves to the exotic north shore of Jamaica, where Ian Fleming and Noel Coward are among a few of the famous homeowners. By February the 8th, director Terence Young is filming a scene which will go down in cinema history.
When we did the opening scene in Laughing Mud in Ocho Rio, it was a private property.
That was owned by a woman called Minnie Simpson at the time.
And it's very, very lovely with these waterfalls coming down. It was beautiful.
The most beautiful river running into this beach. It was just really the most beautiful spot. That's the spot where Ursula Andress came out of the water.
Of course, the natural setting is not the only attraction.
Honey Rider, I was supposed to be a native girl, and I was supposed to be very tan. I just came snow white there, so my first impression, I had to get makeup from here to the toe. John O'Gorman was a makeup man, a lovely man. So I said, okay, take the clothes off. So I had to stand there all naked in the room. So they began with this pancake, going from top to bottom. Then every other second, somebody was knocking on the door. And John O'Gorman, come in. I said, here I'm all nude. Here they come with the breakfast.
Looking for shells?
No, I'm just looking.
Finally, when we were finished with my body, I think we had 20 trays of breakfast because I think everybody wanted to come in to watch me being there naked, being painted from top to bottom.
The schedule calls for other shots before Ursula Andress gets to make her famous entrance.
Sean and I had to run as fast as we can, and I slipped on this coral roof and opened the whole leg. And coral, it takes so long to heal because it's like as this poison. And I told my leg, I slapped some more makeup over this whole bloody leg.
Despite a badly scraped leg and a swollen knee, Ursula Andress becomes the epitome of beauty for a generation of moviegoers. Her allure is so powerful that even James Bond's creator is smitten.
I remember the first time Ian Fleming came to the set and we had all lunch. He was a fascinating man. He had to, the way he writes also, because he's so full of information, so full of knowledge, he was a lovely man.
Fleming is so struck with Ursula Andress that he mentions her name in his next James Bond novel, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. On February the 12th, the crew moves to the northwest corner of Jamaica to the Vansey Swamp in Falmouth. There, Ursula Andress is joined by her husband, John Derrick.
He was a very glamorous guy at the time. I remember with a camera taking lots of pictures of Ursula.
He liked to create. He's a creator. He's a very fascinating human being. He's my only husband, my best friend, and stayed my best friend till he died.
The location proves to be the most challenging of the Jamaican shoot, requiring the creation of Dr. No's dragon.
Harry and Cubby wanted me to design something rather terrifying.
We used a tractor initially.
I said, well, where am I going to find a green tractor? They said, I don't care where you find it, just find it and get it there at 9 o'clock.
Outfitted with a flamethrower, the tractor becomes Dr. No's dragon. But the work is not complete. Preparations must be taken to keep the machine from sinking into the swamp mud.
I didn't know how deep it was, and so I thought, well, the only way to find it is to wade in there. Oh, it's awful. I sort of sunk right down in the mud. And when we came out, we were bitten, like, all over by mosquitoes, and I was covered in leeches, which I had to get rid of one by one with a cigarette. I had to burn them off.
Oh, the swamps were awful. They were awful, they were smelly.
It was just ugly and swampy and nasty, but Terence was well set up. He insisted on being very, very comfortable.
When the crew moves to the White River, they are joined by former model and glamour photographer Bunny Yeager.
Samuel J. Friedman, who was in charge of the national publicity for United Artists, he asked me if I would like to go to Jamaica and photograph this new starlet by the name of Ursula Andress.
The combination of Ursula Andress and the photographer who made Betty Page famous creates indelible images.
I was excited when I met Ursula because then I met her husband, John Derrick. And of course, we all knew who John Derrick was, and I had to shoot when they were resetting the cameras or a cloud came over, and I just took her to the side of the set, and I started using the backgrounds that were right there. I think she's one of the best. She was very natural. She had a sizzling quality, a true star quality about herself.
The crew moves to the Reynolds Bauxite Docks in Ocho Rios, filming on a Sunday to keep to the tight schedule. With only 3 days left to shoot, Terence Young works quickly.
Thank God I was athletic, because I could run.
A lot of black smoke and a lot of real fire. It looked very real and very big and scary.
We were running through this factory down and up and down and then jumping into the boat at the end. My goodness, it was an experience.
I got an extra 5 pounds or something to be one of the people that jumped off the dock.
After the last few scenes have been shot, the Bond team prepares to leave Jamaica. On Friday, February the 23rd, Cubby Broccoli, Harry Saltzman, and Terence Young return to Pinewood Studios, where Ken Adam has been left alone to design and build the sets while the crew was in Jamaica.
I had nobody looking over my shoulders. They were faced with 3 or 4 stages filled with sets. And I was a little nervous. Fortunately, Terence was the first one to arrive on the stage, and he really flipped. I mean, he was delighted with what he saw.
Ken Adams' sets create a whole new style of cool, austere elegance. Filming at Pinewood begins on Monday, February the 26th, with Bernard Lee as M, Peter Burton as Boothroyd, and Lois Maxwell as Miss Moneypenny. On March the 2nd, Terence Young directs Sean Connery's introduction to audiences as James Bond. Terence Young decides to lift an idea from director William Dietley's film Juarez, in which Paul Muni is introduced through a series of close-ups before